In the heart of Oregon's desert, I battled brutal conditions, relentless winds, sudden storms, and frigid cold.
Almost there.
It was a fight that took some of my gear with it.
I had a little accident.
But it was there in the middle of nowhere, far away from everything, that I had to face the toughest enemy of all. Myself and my growing doubts in the face of adversity.
So it's very hard not to wonder, what the hell am I doing here?
The desert pushed me hard, but in the end it rewarded me with a gift that I could put to use in the weeks ahead.
I can't believe how lucky I got. No matter where I look, sunny and clear everywhere. Where could I go?
I keep chasing the weather in this road trip, using it as a constraint that limits my choices, because having unlimited options can be paralyzing. That's how I ended up in Central Oregon, the only place offering something other than sunny and clear days. Even though I like the rain, I welcome the cloudy skies after all the water I had gotten in Northern California. You see, several days of rain spent inside the car do mess with your mind a little bit, so being able to be outside felt incredibly good.
This is just a picnic area, as you can see, but I really like playing with the structures here, with the human element, and to add something else to the images. I think it makes them more interesting.
After several days of inactivity, I was about to test my fitness on a somewhat steep trail.
After a few days of a lot of driving, not leaving the car that much, not moving too much, I am about to have my ass kicked here at Smith Rock. I'm gonna go first down there and then up to there. So, wish me luck.
You know it's going to be good when the trail is called Misery Trail. But it wasn't that bad after all. I was enjoying the view, the landscape, and I was also focused on looking for images. For the first time in a while, my mind was not boiling with a million thoughts, as it had a clear mission: make it up there and take some photos on the way. During my time in California, when I was spending a lot of time in the car, I developed some bad habits. I started to spend way too much time on my phone as a way to cope with all of that. At least that's what I think is the reason. In any case, my mind was definitely not on this road trip. And that day in Smith Rock, that hike on Misery Trail brought me back to the present moment, and for a little while I felt motivated and inspired again.
Alright, made it to the top. That was steep, but not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I did this trail, I know, 8 to 9 years ago, but I was 30 pounds heavier. And let me tell you, it is much harder when you are carrying all that weight. It is true that now I am carrying cameras and lenses and tripods, but still, it felt very good to get a little bit of exercise after a few days of not doing anything, just living in the car. As I said, now I have to get down.
That more positive mindset that was so hard to regain was still on shaky ground though, and everything was about to change again as the doubts and the challenges were about to grow bigger than before.
Not that one.
The Painted Hills, an otherworldly place, a landscape straight out of a sci-fi movie, an explosion of colors on an otherwise barren land. But what overwhelmed my senses there was not what I was perceiving, but what I was not.
I love the silence. I can't figure out if that's just one bird that is following me or it's several birds. It sounds like just one, but I don't know.
In the desert, away from everything and everyone, it feels like the world has hit the pause button. It was the kind of place I needed to unplug and soak in the beauty of nature, focused only on my camera and making images. And for a little bit, it worked.
My brain is just exploding now. I'm seeing images and compositions everywhere after spending so much time on my phone. I think I'm finally breaking free. I'm using everything. I mean, bushes, trees, whatever. There are so many things to photograph around here. I don't know if the final images are gonna be any good, but it sure is fun. even though I have more lenses here with me, and I usually carry more lenses with me, it is the versatility and the flexibility of the super zoom lens, being able to go from wide to long, that I love the most, because I was taking photos of trees and whatnot just a few minutes ago, and now I'm able to zoom in and to play with abstract photographs, with abstract images of these beautiful hills here. And you know, every 10-20 feet the perspective shifts a little bit, so you create different images. It could take days to really explore and get the most out of this place. I have a few hours, so I hope to get something interesting. By the way, I think someone lost their dog here. The leash is there, but no dog, no owner. Weird. As I talked about in my last video, it was in this area that I started to take black and white pictures. It was many years ago, and one of the subjects that I loved the most back then was trees like that one back there with in that grass, that bright grass, because of the contrast between the darker tree and the bright grass. And that is a subject that I was hoping, or a kind of subject that I was hoping to capture this time again.
The weather took a turn for the worse, but for now I was determined to make the most out of this little inspiration I was feeling.
It's getting pretty ugly, so I better head back. Well, this rain might be good for cleaning Manolo a little bit. It's got a little bit dirty here in the desert.
After waiting out the rain, it looked like the weather was going to give me a break. It was getting a bit windy to the point of making me fear for my camera, but I kept going because I was feeling it again.
So pretty and so surreal.
And then, just like that, the confidence I was feeling turned out to be a costly mistake.
I was finally starting to feel a little bit more like myself for the first time in this road trip, and well, my lens is, I'm afraid, a little bit broken. It was only 4 years old, but it went through a lot of stuff. You see, it had scars everywhere. It's been in the snow, in the Rockies, in the Cascades, in Indiana, in Spain. It's been to Norway, to Scotland. Rain, wind. It's falling many times on soft surfaces, but also on cement, on pavement, and it survived all of that. But it couldn't survive this last fall here at the Painted Hills in Oregon. I keep asking myself, what are you doing? What are you doing here? It's not easy to answer that question, really. And now that I just lost a lens worth $800, it's even harder, because that's a lot of... I have to sell a lot of books to pay for that lens. I have to publish a lot of YouTube videos to pay for that lens. So it's very hard not to wonder, what the hell am I doing here? And I don't mean here, literally physically here, but you know, with the whole photography thing.
Despite the intense wind and what had happened, I kept pushing and doing the only thing I could do there and then. I made more images. And that helped getting those negative thoughts out of my head, or at least pushing them to the back.
I'm in a little bit better mood now. I switched to my telephoto lens and I've been zooming in really close to get very, not abstract, but almost images here. And you know, it reminded me of something that I posted on my blog a long time ago when I converted some images from some kind of rover in Mars to black and white, and I was wondering what it would be like to be the first photographer in Mars, you know, to take photos of never seen before landscapes and whatnot. And it reminded me of, or I mean, this place reminded me of that because it feels like that, really. It feels like otherworldly, like a different planet here.
It had been a long and hard day, so I decided to look for a place to sleep before it got dark.
There are deer there.
I drove for a half an hour on dirt and gravel roads until I got to my spot for the night, next to the beautiful John Day River.
It was kind of a rough road to get here. The car is even dirtier than before. It really needs a wash, but what a beautiful place. This is where I'm gonna be spending the night. I'm all by myself here. Not too far away from the Painted Hills, but it's beautiful here in the desert. It's gonna be a cold night, but that shouldn't be a problem in the car. I was feeling, and I still feel, a little bit defeated today because it's been quite a roller coaster. These last few days have been, actually, because I can't help but question why I'm here, why I am all by myself here, sleeping in the car. I'm being cold, far away from my loved ones, and why is it that I'm doing this? And I know that this is temporary, and that if I keep pushing, I will eventually make it through this and see the light at the end of the tunnel and see a purpose to all of this, the point of what I'm doing. But yeah, right now it's hard to see. What's not hard to see is that the car is not leveled, so I'm gonna have to move it.
As night fell and darkness enveloped the landscape, I finally found the rest I desperately needed. The next morning, I woke up refreshed and even more determined in my commitment.
It was a cold night, but nothing I haven't experienced before. I'm hoping today will be a better day. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna give it my best because it's the only thing I can do.
So, filled with fresh energy, a new day of exploring the desert begins.
This is another part, another unit of the John Day National Monument. It's still absolutely beautiful. This is called the Sheep Rock. That is the rock itself. I was previously at the Painted Hills. This one is a little bit bigger. There is a hike that I'm gonna do now a little bit farther down the road, but there is a ranch here too, and that gave me the opportunity to, you know, take different shots and to contrast human elements against this beautiful landscape that is beautiful but challenging to photograph by itself sometimes. And yeah, those human structures and the car and whatnot made it a little bit more different and fun.
Fun was the right word. I was feeling like myself again, and even though the images were nothing amazing, I was loving the process again. So much so that I decided to try my luck on what I knew was going to be a very challenging place to photograph.
It's really beautiful to look at, but man, it's gonna be very, very hard to find any images in this canyon. It's getting really windy and a little bit ugly. I was going to do the other hike that goes around the rim, but I think it's not a good idea. I might leave it for tomorrow. So windy.
Even though that location was very challenging, being in a better mood helps you see things that you wouldn't otherwise see. So there, at that moment, everything was a potential great subject. It was about being engaged with the process and the landscape, about keeping my mind open to whatever I could stumble upon, hoping that something would eventually click. And at the very end of the day, that is exactly what happened.
I found it. I found what I think is the best composition of the day. In my opinion, that tree right there, those two rocks, you see them? I was walking this trail and I saw those two rocks framing that tree. It was love at first sight. I made a couple images, one with the 20, one with the 35. They are different, but they are the same concept. Again, the tree framed by those two rocks and those weeds in the foreground, creating some bright space in the foreground that contrasts very well with the rock. I really, really like it. It happened at the very end of the day, but I'm very happy about it. I'm very happy about this image. I think it's gonna work great.
Well, I made it to the campground for tonight. To call it something is a very primitive place, and of course it's empty. I'm the only one here. There's no service, no cell phone service, which is fine. Again, I think being disconnected from the outside world has actually been good for me. I believe these past 2 to 3 days, I feel like my mind is a little bit less, boiling with stuff and wanting to check on things all the time, and it's more focused on what I'm doing, on what I'm here for. Slowly but surely, it dawned on me that the desert was giving me an immense gift. The gift of peace of mind, one that only the desert's isolation could bring.
I love these mornings in a road trip when you are in the middle of nowhere in a beautiful spot. I'm here by the John Day River enjoying my hot oatmeal. What else can I ask for to start the day, right? I feel very good today because I had an amazing night. I slept very good last night, and I think that's something very important and something that I was lacking the last few days. It's not that the car is not comfortable or anything like that. It's just I wasn't tired enough, because back in the Redwoods I had a very good time, of course, but all that rain didn't let me move as much as I usually do, so I think I wasn't tired enough. But now here in the desert, with no rain and more hikeable routes and paths, I am able to move a little bit more. I'm a little bit more tired at night, and then I think that's the reason why I sleep better. And when I sleep better, well, I have a better day the following day.
My thoughts were clearer, and most importantly, my mind was wide open to all the possibilities the landscape held.
As soon as I start this hike, it's getting ugly and windy, but it looks better than yesterday. There is some rain in the distance there, but I think I'm gonna keep trying. Doesn't look that bad.
And for a little bit, that was true. In fact, the distant storm was casting some beautiful light that filled the desert with life.
Did I get lucky with the light back there or what? I've been here for a while just observing what the light and moving clouds were doing to the landscape. I was waiting to see if I could find something. I think it finally happened at the very end, because now this is kind of dying, it's getting cloudier. But for just a few seconds, the light was lighting up just that hill, that cone there. And that's the composition I found. That's the composition that clicked, and is the one that I made. I'm very glad I decided to come up here despite the menacing weather. It still looks a little bit like it could start raining here at any moment, so I'm gonna try to head down as soon as possible. I always say that there are images everywhere at any time, and that is very true, and it's been very true here in the desert as well. And the only thing that I needed to do, the only thing, as if it's something easy, is to just put myself in the right state of mind and just keep pushing and just wait and to have the patience. It can be very frustrating at times, but the reward, I think, is totally worth it. I might have pushed my luck a little bit too hard and too far. Still pretty far from the trailhead, and the rain is coming. It is coming. It's getting so dark. I'm gonna get wet, very wet. Come on, almost there. I can't believe how lucky I got. It got a little bit sketchy up there for a sec though. It was raining, yeah, but it got so windy that it was hard to even walk. Thankfully it only lasted a few seconds, and then I was left with, yeah, some rain. I got a little bit wet here and there, but other than that, it made for beautiful conditions for photography.
I can't believe my timing today. It's raining pretty hard right now, and it's windy as well. I mean, I'll gladly get wet for photography. I've done it many times in the past, and I will do it again in the future. But, you know, it's better if I don't have to. I got most of what the conditions had to offer here, and I didn't have to suffer the consequences, so that's pretty amazing. I am so happy. This was a great morning. My journey in the desert was tough, to say the least. It was challenging, it pushed me, but in the end, it gave me exactly what I needed. A gift that would be incredibly useful in the days to come.